Depp v. Heard, 2 years later. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. It's 2 years since the courtroom drama that gripped many took place between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. I utilised that clash to analyse both Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and then explain the interactions between them thereafter. In case you haven't watched the analyses of either of those individuals and wish to do so, you may wish to stop listening as there's going to be a spoiler ahead. If you have, you'll know that from my very detailed analysis that the outcome was that Johnny Depp is narcissistic, but not a narcissist, and that Amber Heard is a narcissist, and that her categorization as per my system is lower mid-range somatic. Thus, we had a narcissistic individual and a narcissist come together, with suitably explosive results. But 2 years has passed, and where has this left the two individuals? Well, that bastion of journalistic excellence, Heat, reports as follows. It's been over 2 years since her highly publicised defamation trial with Johnny Depp set Hollywood ablaze, and these days, life for Amber Heard could not look more different. Shortly after the court case came to an end, the actress, who was found to have defamed her ex-husband, moved to Spain. Nullification of threats to control by withdrawing from the limelight, where she lives with her 3-year-old daughter Una. However, despite appearing to have started afresh, sources have revealed that she's found it difficult to move on. Not only has she been forced to relive the trial following the release of hit Netflix documentary Depp vs. Heard, which shows both testimonies side by side, but Amber is said to still be feeling furious over the aftermath. For Amber, it's been difficult to move on. She's done her best, but she's still seething over what she sees as this huge injustice. She can hardly believe that she was made the villain in all of this. Not only that, but she's been financially crippled, and she had to leave America to escape the pain of this nightmare. She's just so saddened and disgusted that so many people took Johnny's side, an insider tells Heat. So let's break that down. Understanding that Amber Heard is a lower mid-range narcissist, why is she still seething? Why does she not believe that she was appropriately made the villain? How has being financially crippled impacted upon her? Is it the case that each morning she wakes up and first thing she thinks about is Johnny Depp, and that she immediately has her fury ignited? In short, no. There'll be occasions where she won't think about him or the whole circumstances. But there will be instances where it regularly comes up on her radar, and that's why it's problematic. This is because Johnny Depp remains internationally famous and is reported on. Furthermore, for instance, there was the Depp v. Heard television programme, that series, and therefore that has media attention around it, which Amber Heard will become aware of. The people that she's in contact with in the United States may mention of it. The fact that she might see something in the Spanish press relating to it. That the people in Spain possibly could ask her questions about it. The fact that if she experiences a financial problem, she's reminded of what has caused that financial problem. Thus, it isn't the case that Amber Heard sits at home, seething about it, just randomly thinking about Johnny Depp, but rather there are numerous instances whereby Johnny Depp and the associated issue will repeatedly come up on her radar. When that happens, her narcissism in the subconscious asks this question: is Johnny Depp under control? The answer is, she doesn't know, because she doesn't have anything to do with him. Accordingly, that translates to the answer, no. And therefore what her narcissism then must do is compel her to get him under control. It causes her fury to be ignited, because her narcissism causes her to experience a sense of it all being so unfair, it's unjust, it's not right that she was made the villain of the piece, that she was the victim, that he was the abuser. And accordingly, in those circumstances, the narcissism causes her to remember the way that she was treated, or perceives that she was treated, the outcome of the court case, to engender this sense of injustice and unfairness so that she acts upon it. I very much doubt that she hoovers Johnny Depp. This is probably as a consequence of she has no means of contacting him, or it may well be that her narcissism doesn't drive her down that route, anticipating potential wounding by a failure to respond. More likely, I suspect it's because she doesn't have a means by which to contact him directly. Therefore, the narcissism cannot choose that as a route. Instead, it will then cause her to move to the indirect assertion of control. This means, for instance, that she might complain about what happened for the umpteenth time to one of her friends, who dutifully listens and offers their sympathy. Their response shows that they are under control. They provide her with fuel by way of their sympathy, and by way of the fact that they agree that Johnny Depp is an odious human being, means that affords Amber Heard with the subconscious need for control. Thus, she gets that control, she receives some fuel. In some instances, if she has nobody to complain to, her narcissism moves to the third assertion of control, which results in her simply jettisoning the thought, I've been hard done to, he's a shit, I don't want anything to do with him. I'm better off in Spain, far away from him. But the fact is, she will seethe about it still, because there are numerous instances whereby it will come up on her radar, which means that her narcissism is triggered to respond to it, and does so through heated ignited fury. That's why it has been difficult for her to move on, because his prominence and the reverberations by way of financial difficulty continues to cause him to be, in effect, a ghost in her life. The article continues by explaining she's still looking for closure and can't let go, but especially because it's now been turned into entertainment for profit by Netflix and others, thus it keeps coming up on her radar. The fact they've made a documentary about it and it's all being dragged up again had her hopeful that maybe people would rethink their viewpoint on it. Magical thinking, but that doesn't seem to be the case, so at this point she's just trying to block it all out and focus on her life with her daughter and family. It then repeats what went on in the past, which we're fully familiar with. After the ruling in the 2022 case, Amber said she was heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, influence and sway of my ex-husband. Denial, pity play. Meanwhile, Johnny said from the very beginning the goal of bringing this case was to reveal the truth, regardless of the outcome. Speaking the truth was something that I owed to my children, to all those who have remained steadfast in their support of me. I feel at peace knowing I finally accomplished that. Amber appealed the decision, but they settled the case in December 2022. She wrote on Instagram, use of social media to broadcast and control, after a great deal of deliberation, I have made a very difficult decision to settle the defamation case brought against me by my ex-husband in Virginia. It's important for me to say that I never chose this. I defended my truth, and in doing so, my life, as I knew it, was destroyed. Pity play. She added, the vilification I have faced on social media is an amplified version of the ways in which women are re-victimized when they come forward. Pity play. She claimed that she'd lost faith in the American legal system, i.e., it's not her fault that she lost, it's the legal system's fault, blame shifting, adding that her unprotected testimony served as entertainment and social media fodder. The one-time private investigator hired by Amber's legal team to find information that could be used against Johnny has also admitted he was stunned at the amount of support towards the Pirates of the Caribbean star. In his new book, Johnny Depp's Accidental Fixer, Paul Baresi recalled that he interviewed 100 people, with the majority on the actor's side. Well, might that just be that the evidence pointed to him being the victim of her abusive behaviour? While Amber Heard has remained largely out of the spotlight, last June she attended the Taormina Film Festival in Sicily to promote her indie thriller In the Fire. She also briefly appeared in Aquaman 2, which hit the big screen in December. Sharing behind-the-scenes snaps on Instagram, use of social media to control, Amber, who doesn't currently have any upcoming projects in the pipeline, wrote, after all this time, Aquaman 2 made its splash. Sorry, it's too easy. Thank you to all of my fans for the overwhelming support and love in Mira's AQ return. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, Johnny has thrown himself back into work. 1 year after the trial, he starred as King Louis XV in movie Jean de Barry. He's also been busy directing the new biopic Modi, about the life of Italian artist Amido Modigliani, which stars Riccardo Scamaraccio, Sally Phillips and Al Pacino. But while his career continues to thrive, and rumours have swirled that he's dating 28-year-old Russian beautician and model Yulia Vlasov, our source adds that he still feels haunted by the legal battle. Even though Johnny won and has had the lion's share of support in Hollywood, he's still haunted by the humiliation of having all his dirty laundry dragged out for the world to see. He's a very private guy and a proud guy. It's humiliating that this is likely what he's going to be remembered for, we're told. As much as he hated going to trial, he does not regret standing up for himself. If he hadn't suffered, though, through that trial, he would have been forever known as an abuser, and he's adamant that he's not and never has been. So many of his exes stood up for him, see parts pass him, and he always makes that point to defend himself. He's certainly not proud of some of the things he said and did, but he swears he isn't an abuser and never has been. He would love to put all this behind him and move on, and he's trying to do that. He's working again and dating, but it's doubting life will ever be the same again. Anytime he goes anywhere, he's paranoid that people are talking about him and bringing up this case. No doubt this will follow him until the day he dies. That's the impact that it has upon a narcissistic person. He doesn't have that entrenched need for control, but nevertheless, he can also experience the paranoia that he's been spoken about and that people regard him as an abuser rather than him not being one, as he maintains. That's a useful example of how an event 2 years ago continues to affect the parties in different ways and for different reasons. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.